Good morning again, everybody. It's Ace of Trades, Tuesday, April 21st. The Bible says in the book of Matthew, chapter 11, starting verse 28, the Lord speaking, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." On the chart today, I don't see anything really interesting at the moment. I put the overnight lows here, overnight highs up here on 740 something. It looks like we got one leg down, perhaps a second leg down. Price is starting to gather here, so not a lot to be said. You're in this overnight range area, so you just have to wait for something to develop. So I'll be back again later when um, probably after the open at some point when something interesting happens. Well, there's also a 10 o'clock red news item about some Fed chair speaking. I don't really think that's going to impact anything though, but just something to be aware of. Okay, so this didn't print very well, but the problem with taking a higher low right there off this level is this looks like you could be trapped in a downtrend. So you see that fits pretty well. So um, even if that had printed well, you don't want to take that because of that situation. And that looks like maybe that's what happened there. Looks like this. You still have to be careful about going short too because of this whole level here. So, it's really kind of a no trade zone because of that particular, competing context. Downtrend, stuck in the downtrend, can't take a higher low off the lows. Uh, and then you got this here, so you kind of have to respect that for the moment. So you don't want to be going short into the lows. All right, so I have this trend working up here. The bar printing is pretty poor right now with the way that these bars are manifesting. So, but I'm hoping we get some kind of correction here that we can get in on a trade as we try to go up to the other side of this range. All right, so we had this uptrend and some sort of sideways break here, two legs up to new high, pushing back down. Trying to assess now whether I can find a good structure here on the way down to wherever this is trying to go. To see if we can get a couple legs, some sort of correction we can be confident about taking a short right now because this uptrend is played out for the moment. All right, so we got this push down. It's a little tricky because you could view it like this. I wasn't sure about. There's two legs here. So you could view it like that, with a little break and a new low. But I can also see this as this whole move as um, part of the leg down. We get this push up, and we just get one bar here creating a leg separation, and then we get this bar here that I think the last like 100 ticks, it was this almost closed all the way up here, and then in a flash it snapped down here and closed, which kind of surprised me. So I wasn't really. It's reasonable if this is something that you took. It's a reasonable trade to take. Um, but I just didn't take it. I just something in real time that didn't sit well with me. Um, I'm not sure what it's. It is two legs. Perhaps it's that the bar closed green. Um, I can't explain it really. But if you took this is a reasonable trade to take. So now you've got the second leg down, but this looks like we'll see. We'll see what happens here now. I'm just waiting to see what happens with the structure now that this is pushed down and you're pushing into a new low. Looks like some buyers keep coming in here on these bars. So you keep getting these wicks, and now this one's starting to try to close green. So we'll see. All right, so now I have yeah, basically you had this leg, this correction, and then this push. And then when this pushed up here and then failed back down, I combined these two legs as one leg, and then this is another leg. Um, it's just kind of waiting to see. I don't really have any ideas here. As far as like high or low, you're getting too close to the EMA now. Um, are in the same region here where prices bounced before. So I just kind of have to wait for more structures to develop because I'm not really sure about. I don't know. I'll have to think about if this tries twice here with a couple clean legs. This might just keep pushing down to new low, but I have to think about that. Um, just don't really care to when you're back down here. I prefer to probably wait if this is going to keep going down, to wait till price shows me that and then look for structures to get short on rather than try to guess here on a couple legs to the EMA, and prices has faded in this read area before. You already have a couple legs down. It is very heavy right now, but yeah, I just haven't really decided about that. I don't really care for it. There's not even like a clean structure that I'd be trading like a two-legged break off of. You could maybe you have a break there and a new low. Maybe you'd extend it like that. It doesn't really look very good off this side. It's just not a great idea in my opinion, being that you're in the area where prices have been bouncing here. You could very well get trapped on a pattern short there. So I probably will just skip that. Even if you would get a couple legs and then it would push down, I'll probably pass on that. Okay, so I had this, um, whoops, I had this red channel drawn, but I'm not so sure that I think this whole move down from here, from the rejecting of the overnight low, that's probably the structure that we want to play and not really worry so much about that. I don't think this whole move down is really connected. I think it's more about this structure here that you're playing and looking for a correction off of. So I think I like that better. Um, we have two big measured legs down, but I really don't think this whole thing is a factor. I mean, clearly it tried to started to, there's a little buying here and then it just dumped. So I really think this structure here is what we're looking at as far as playing for a correction. So we'll see what happens there. Very, very strong selling right now. That's what I'll be watching. Yeah, so unfortunately, we only get one-legged break and then push down here to a new low. So if this bounces right here, looks like it's finishing lower, but maybe once in a while you can consider these when you barely pushes lower and pushes up again. Maybe you consider that for a second leg. It's really discretionary because this has made a technical new low. So when you do that, you say, well, I'm just going to play this as two legs. Well, it's gonna fail on you more often because it has played out, but sometimes these work. Sometimes these do end up functioning as two legs, even though you made a technical new low. So it's really a little bit more discretionary than the typical one leg, two legs. Go ahead and take that sort of thing. All right, shorts definitely off the table now at this point. If anything, you'd be looking for some sort of long setup, at least for the moment. I mean, this is the general context is very bearish, but it doesn't mean that you won't get opportunities to get long when things play out certain ways, but it all depends on what kind of visual setup you get. All right, so we get this nice strong push up and just a little tepid correction, push up to new high. So we're just not, the last couple nice little trends we got, we're just not getting favorable corrections for us to get in on any type of setup. So just keep watching. I mean,
I'm looking at this now. This whole thing, probably on a higher time frame, this could be the trend down in itself. This could be the break for this whole big downtrend. And maybe you may be heading down for a new low now in some fashion off this break. So, if we get a nice trend working down here, I'd be looking for something to short there. So it's interesting on a smaller scale. You have this trend working. Where's that at? There it is. You have this thing working down, get a little break, new low, and then perhaps on a bigger scale, you've got this working down with a break, and potentially this may try to push down here. So we'll just wait and see. Just looking for structures. All right, so what I think happened here is this is the bigger channel. Here's your break and pushes down. It doesn't create a technical new low, but it does retest. So then this move down, you don't really get two nice legs here. It's pushing up now. This may push down here. I don't know. But you didn't get two legs of correction here. If this would have maybe set up better, I'd be inclined to entertain that for a short. But once it started pushing up um, above the EMA like this, and basically this all looks like one leg now. Um, this could be trying to reverse. It's really difficult to read because you can see the downtrend, spread out break, push down. You never know. Maybe this pushes down again, and you get an actual new low there, perhaps. That could be also. So we'll just wait and see. Maybe if I get a lower high here, I entertain that for a trade. But you didn't get the two legs down, or the two legs back here for a setup. So, just continue watching the price action. All right, so we're already back down here. No help on a lower high. Already back down in this area here. We're pushing to new low. Looks like you may definitely be getting that second leg down, whether it's ends up being measured from here or from here. Um, but then this would really be played out. You need to see some sort of um, bullish push up or attempts to. Maybe you get some little structure that pushes up, and then that makes a new high, and then we start heading back down. But got to be careful shorting now with this bigger trend broken and having two legs down. We just need to see, more price action now. All right, so yeah, one leg down, two legs down. So now that you actually make a new low with those two legs down, have to be real careful about getting trapped on a pattern, which on my chart, nothing sets up here really, but if you got a nice bar there, that's a good place to get trapped after this is played out on a pattern. So you just got to watch out for those. Probably looking for, if this can zip up here and start clearing clearing this swing, and we get a nice push up, then maybe you can think about longs. But this looks pretty weak. I mean, you can see how strong that push up was, and this is maybe this is just weeding out the rest of the shorts who think it's still going to go down. So maybe you might have a little bit of extra selling come in there. But you didn't really hear in this. There's a lot of downward momentum here. So yeah, just be sitting and waiting right now because he's nothing really nice setting up anywhere. So whether this pushes up and kind of peters out and fails and then starts pushing down, well, then we can start looking for shorts again. But you just need to wait for some sort of upside move to play out now that this big downward structure is played out. Okay, so looks like after this played out, we got this leg up, this channel. I put a range here because it looks like prices were kind of going sideways. Then we pushed up, and this bar, there was a lot of volume came in for a couple seconds, printed very quickly. We just got to be real careful about shorts and longs off trends because this looks like this whole area here now looks like it's very sideways. So you could be in a range here now. So just gotta sit and wait and for more stuff to develop. Oh, excuse me. Um, so this looks to me like this maybe we're in some sort of range here. We don't have clearly defined highs or anything, but we keep bouncing off this level down here. Um, and sometimes what you get is when you get a couple of big legs down, I'm going to zoom out for a minute, like that, and you start ranging, that's often a bottoming pattern. And so what you might get, the more times this tries to push here and cannot, the more likely it is that it's going to start to reverse off there. Um, so even though this looks to us when we zoom way in, a bunch of little trends shifting back and forth that you're trying to get a grasp on and trade, you might be in a bigger structure here that's a range or a range type, activity that prices may be trying at some point to reverse off of here. So just want to be aware, I'm sorry, about the bigger price action that's going on as you're trying to look at these little trends and I'm looking for this little trend and can I get a break in a new high and so on and so forth. All that stuff is in the bigger context of prices just generally kind of going sideways here with like a slightly bearish tilt to it. So not saying that this pressure won't overcome this level of support and then we'll start pushing down. But you just want to be aware that you don't get trapped in some little tiny trend that you're trying to trade and really what's happening is the price is reversing off there. Like I wouldn't look at this thing here as like a trend that needs a new low or anything like that. Um so anyway, just say that to kind of you want to keep the bigger picture in mind. Occasionally zoom out, take a look at the bigger structures going on. So um yeah, so I don't know if we can get a nice strong push up here, then you can look for a correction to get in, but it's just been difficult with prices just kind of swinging around and not giving you a whole lot. So, all right, so it looks like there's a possibility here we're in a larger downtrend. And you can see that's looks pretty good on this 6,000 tick chart. We did that. Just, so that seems to fit pretty well. So I think I'm going to track that, look for entries off this downtrend. Okay, guys, I had something very odd happen to me. Um, I didn't, I threw my order in for this trade, but it didn't pick me up. And so what I do is my type of stop order is called a stop limit. And what that means is if this, because in the past when I would enter on pure stop orders, um, it would, I would get slipped. And I know that you'll hear other people talk about that doesn't happen on the ES and so on and so forth. It does happen. So I don't know if they aren't actually trading or what they're doing, but it does happen. What that means is basically if you enter on a pure stop order, it's going to put you into the trade where there's someone where the market's is there's someone in the market that's buying at the same place that you want to sell. So I entered on a so I got tired of that happening to me getting sometimes it slipped me half a point, depending on how I was trading that's important. So what happened here is I got my order in. I mean, look at this two legs, very nice, back up to the other side of the trend channel. So I put my order in there and it slipped the order. It slipped right through. I had my order at what is this here?
7111 and a quarter, and it just blew right through the order without picking up my contracts. And I mean, it blew right through and didn't come back. So what happens is if you enter on a stop limit, it's saying I want to enter here on a stop, but it's gonna only if it's gonna pick me up there. I don't want to get stopped in like a point later or something like that into my order. And so what happens is if it's gonna slip you on a stop, it pushes right through. It ignores your order, and then it becomes a limit order. So but it never came, not anywhere in this bar did it ever come back to fill me. It just blew right through my stop limit and just kept going. So anyway, that's just a little piece of information there. Trade missed because it blew through my stop limit order. So that's too bad because that was uh, real quick, easy 2 points, no problem. All right, I just want to say I'm not super concerned about this little overshoot here because on a higher time frame, it still looks pretty good in the structure. There's a slight poke out here, but that just doesn't look to me like something to be super concerned about. Um, so if you can see it's still rejecting the EMA, so it's not really. I don't think the price action is considering it an overshoot really either. Um, Now this may just keep falling down. If it keeps falling down and out, then we have to reassess maybe, but I'd still be okay, I think. If we got a second leg up here to take that off this area, but we just have to keep an eye on it. All right, so you get 2 legs up here. Not a great bar. It's an inside bar. Doesn't look. It's not something I want to enter on. You can see how much better this is. How this is, you know, strong push down. This is just like a bar that's not even 2 points big. So, I mean, you can see how the opposite color delineates the legs, but you can see the way that it manifests how it looks. These 2 legs look better than these 2 legs. These almost look like they're potentially trapped within an uptrend here. So, and that's just the way that those bars print. You can see you get these 3 bars, and then how much lower this closes, and this closes right by that bar there. So it makes the 2 legs much steeper and thinner, closer together than these two. So it's a little bit more sketchy of a trade, but um, you don't get anything there anyway. Sorry, I keep forgetting how people are watching on their mobiles. So what I was just saying is how thin. Hopefully you can see better now that I've zoomed in. How skinny these 2 legs are because of the way this bar, this red bar that gives you like your first attempt, how it prints and finishes. It finishes right here. So when this green bar takes off, it makes these 2 legs look very close together, where you can see how these 2 legs, you get these 3 bars, and because this red bar closes much lower than the previous green bar, it creates a much better separation in the legs. So it makes this a much more comfortable entry here. But anyway, that's just all I was pointing out. All right, so this guy's tempting here, but I'm concerned about this because you got 1 leg up, and this move up has a new high. You don't have a lot of room to the EMA there, and I'm concerned about this being trapped here. I wish it would have pushed up real quick to that measured move and given me something I'd be a little bit more confident about shorting right here, because now your channel is on a break. Um, but I didn't not entering there because of this whole deal. Okay, so now you can see how this trend line affected this entry here, bounced up.
I don't know what's going on right here on this bar. We just have a bunch of volume that just came in. So you just kind of, the structure is just ugly. So we just have to sit still and wait for something clear to show up for us. All right, so ever since we had this overshoot here, spike up, price action's been a bit of a mess, not really giving you any clear direction. You have this, you have a break, push down, you just don't know that that's going to be the end of the move. And then, from there, it's really unclear what prices are trying to do. You get this push up and keeps falling down, but there's no clear, bigger structures that you're getting. And it goes sideways and pushes up, and, it's just a mess right now. So hopefully in the last hour, we get something that clears up for us. Okay, so I'm looking at this as like one big leg up, second big leg up, and this looks to be like we're in this awkward uptrend here. And on this time frame, it's not very favorable. It's not creating clean swings. You get all this, overlapping stuff, push up, push down, overlapping, lots of wicking, push up. This is why bull moves are more difficult to trade, in my opinion, than bear moves. You can see how nice and uniform, clean and clear these swings are that you're getting on the way down, whereas on the way up, it's just so much noise as prices continue to move up. So anyway, half hour to the close. If there's no trade show up, I'll probably just do a post market. All right, it's about a minute till the close and wrapping it up for today. About half hour ago, we got this big push down. Was looking for, so I view this all as one trend down, and was looking for some sort of correction to get in on, but there's nothing. There's nothing here that gives you any kind of clear two legs to hang your hat on to try to get an entry. So, yep, nothing came of that. And then this is just a big mess all the way through here. You can, of course, I can come back through here and slap arrows on different parts of this. Whenever I see that it wins, whatever, first entry, second entry, we'll just take that, or first entry, high or low, we'll take that. But it's a big mess. This whole thing is a big mess. So I don't really see anything on here I really like it at all. You can't get anything here going up. Of course, I'd be expecting this to kind of retest. And I guess in a roundabout way, you get two huge legs up and then it does, but that's not something you can really trade. And of course, we had a trade today, but it didn't it didn't fill me. So couldn't do anything with that. And there was one other spot where I thought was like, reasonable if you took it. Oh, up here, you get this push down, one leg, two legs, and something just didn't sit well with me. Whether it's this bar closed green or this is, just kind of thin, doesn't close very well. It is a bearish bar, but it's still. I usually like to see the momentum start to go the other way. Like if this would have closed red here, the other issue you're dealing with is you're right into this swing. But if this is, a true trend you're looking at, two legs, you could probably expect this to push through here. I'd take those. I think I've taken trades like that before, so even on video. But I think I didn't like the fact that this continued to close higher. If this would have closed bearish, I think I would have entered that. And of course, there's always um, some more aggressive ones that you can look at or try to take where you think maybe swings are over. You get this, and you know that looks like buying starting to come in there. But again, most of the time not going to take stuff like that. I'm going to wait on. You get moves far away from the EMA, and then it allows you to get a higher low, and it produces that. I've taken those sometimes. So yeah, that's about it. Had a chance to get two trades. I passed on one. The other one didn't fill me. So this doesn't happen too often where that does that to me, but
it did today. So make what you will of that. Yeah, so that'll wrap up today, and I will be back again tomorrow.